Hey, what's going on, everyone? You are welcome to another episode of Rewriting Your Story and Improving the Quality of Your Life. We were looking at the subject of time before I went for the break, and we established a couple of facts. One of them is that time is the most valuable asset a person can ever have. We also mentioned that time is a definite quantity, and for that, each and every one of us have equal value of it. We also mentioned that time cannot be managed, but we can manage our priorities and the activities we perform in a given time in order to make the most and efficient use of it. We have also had a discussion on the 12 principles of time management as outlined by Professor Stephen Adei in his book Living by Strategy. In this episode, I want us to look at one of the principles of time management into details because it is one of the principles that a lot of people live contrary to, and because of that, it has prevented them from reaching the height of their potential. But by the end of this episode, you will have a fresh understanding of time management with respect to this principle, and you will see the benefit of living in obeisance to this particular principle. But before we do that, as always, if you are not already following or subscribed to the channel, make sure you do so now because there are more incredible content coming, and I do not wish for you to miss any of our future episodes. So if you have not already, consider doing so now. If you have done so, now let's get back to the conversation. So in the book Living by Strategy, the 12 principles of time management features one principle Professor Stephen Adei says to adjust your time management to seasons of life. In other words, you need to be flexible with your time management. And I cannot agree more on this. Now, let me share with you this interesting story. Ever since I decided to be intentional about life and living, I came up with a new tradition where the last 2 weeks of every year is used to reflect and to make plans for the new one. So I will spend the last but 1 week to examine the year, assess milestones that I have achieved on my long-term goals, and the progress I have made on other aspects of my life. Then also the short-term goals that I set within that particular year. I check the ones that I've been able to achieve and the ones that are yet to be achieved, and also find out if I can quickly make amends for certain things that I should have done but couldn't. So during that particular week, I try as much as possible to be alone, to avoid all kinds of people, and I do not even go out. I just remain inside and do those things. Then the last week of that particular year, I will also pray, come up with a new organizing principle for the year, rewrite my mission and vision statement, and also make a new list of core values that I think are important for the coming year, set new goals for the year, and also set new targets for my long-term goals. So during the last week, that is what I also do. And you see, if you have done this before, or if you have done any planning for any goal before, you will notice that you will make your plans based on the circumstances under which you find yourself, or in which you find yourself, right? So when I was making this goal, I was a teacher at a different place. And then when the new year started, which is 2024, I got transferred from that place to a different place. So now I find myself in a new location or a new environment. I got myself doing something new. I also accepted a new responsibility that took a considerable chunk of my time. But one thing that caused me the most problems is that the goals were so important to me, so I wanted to work on them. But the timing was so wrong for me because there were certain times that I had already scheduled for personal stuff. But that time, I was also needed to do something for the organization. And when I stopped working on my personal goal for the organization, I became embittered. And when I work on my goals, instead of working for the organization because they pay me to do that, I become guilty. So I decided that, okay, well, since the organization is paying me for this time, let me just use that time for the organization. However, as and when I get the opportunity to work on my goals, I will be working on them. So I became so frustrated. I had a lot of heaviness in me because I know these goals were so important to me, but because of my work, I had to be working on the goals as and when the opportunity presented itself. So I wasn't so consistent, results weren't coming as I expected, and so many other things were going on for me. And the whole point of the story is that I failed to recreate a plan. You see, I had a perfect plan, but the plan was only feasible at my former place. But now I find myself in a new location. I have new roles now, and I had taken an additional role together with what I used to do. And because of that, it changed everything. So what I could have done is to recreate a plan based on the new season of the new location that I find myself. But I wanted to be rigid. I wanted to stick to the plan even though it didn't work. And because of that, I had a lot of issues working on my goals. I was very inconsistent, and sometimes I just feel like, well, maybe I should do this another time. Okay, so the whole point of this story or this narration is that, like myself and other people, we have great goals, we have nice dreams that we want to work on, but our time management are not adjustable. We are unable to adjust our time management principles to suit current circumstances and then incoming circumstances. You see, different circumstances or seasons of life come with different opportunities and challenges, and it will not be wise to stick to a plan that doesn't recognize these changes or these new challenges and opportunities. Do you understand? So let's take, for instance, let's say you used to go to church Monday to Sunday because you were unemployed. Now you have a job. If you decide to maintain this lifestyle or this culture, it will not help you because you need time for your work, you need time for yourself, and you need time for God. So all you need to do is to recreate a new schedule that will factor all these things into perspective. So you have time for God, you have time for your work, you have time for yourself. Let's say you used to pray 4 hours every day because you didn't have a job. Now you have a job. If you try to keep praying for 4 hours every day, you might be able to do it, but other aspects of your life will be suffering. So what you can do is that, okay, now I have a job. The job takes this amount of time. I need to sleep this amount of hours. I need to do this at this time. Then you will notice that at the end of the day, praying 4 hours every day is not feasible. It's not going to help you. So you can then think through about some of these things and then come up with a new schedule. And at the end of the day, your new schedule may be like, okay, I cannot pray for 4 hours, but maybe I can pray for 1 or maybe 1 hour, 30 minutes. And I've said this earlier and I'll say it again, that it is not always about the intensity, but it is about the consistency. Are you with me? It is about the consistency. So if you are going to be very consistent at working on something, then your time management should be able to change into the changing circumstances. Because one thing is for sure, everything is temporal. There is only one thing that is permanent, and that thing is change. And you need to make up your time management to suit the changes that come in life. I do hope you learned something new. If you did, kindly leave a like on this video and let me know what you have taken from this video. If you are not already following or subscribed, consider doing so now. I will see you again with another episode. Until then, peace out.